So we should always be thankful. So tonight, inshallah, we will discuss about the it's called the Umratul Qada. Umrah. Remember previously when the Prophet ﷺ and the Quraysh, they established the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. So they were told to return back to Medina in that year. They should not perform Umrah, but they shall return to Medina and then come back to Mecca the next year, the next following year. So this is when the Prophet ﷺ, he and the Muslims, they prepare to perform this Umrah, and it's Umratul Qada. Just like, Qada of the Salah, for example, when you miss a Salah due to some urgent circumstances, it happens, and then you have to perform Qada for that Salah. So this is the same, similar. So the Prophet ﷺ and his companions in Dhul Qa'dah, in the month of Dhul Qa'dah, in the 7th year of Hijrah, he went to Mecca with his companions to perform this Umrah, Umratul Qada. And how many companions were with the Prophet ﷺ? How many? 2,000. 2,000 companions embarked with the Prophet ﷺ, and they were armed to the, as possible. They were armed. They did not go unarmed, but they took their weapons full, to the fullest possible. They took weapon. And why did the Prophet ﷺ told the Sahaba to bring weapon? Because the Prophet did not trust the Quraysh. Of course, it's a very they still have what? Enmity. Yes, it's not like they have become best allies or something. So he took everything, and then the Prophet ﷺ, when the Quraysh knew about this, when they knew that the Muslims, they armed as much as possible, they were armed. Yeah. The Quraysh, they sent someone to the Prophet ﷺ. They sent a messenger to the Prophet. His name was Mikraz bin Hafs. So he sent this person, and then that person said, "Oh Muhammad, we have never known you to be treacherous. You are being treacherous. What does treacherous mean? Violent, yeah, very violent. Like you're coming prepared with weapons and all this. It's like you just want, like the non-Muslims say that Prophet Muhammad was a bloodthirsty person, huh? But they forget what they do. I don't know the word, but treacherous is like
Traitor is something just breaking the belief or treaty. Suppose
yes. Yes, that's true. Treacherous is violent. Breaking treaty is breaking treaty. That's the correct one. Not just violent. Treacherous is you don't keep your promise. So there was a treaty. Yeah. So we don't know that you are a treacher. Treachery. Yeah, they thought, but then he said that the treaty was, I don't enter Mecca with weapons. Entering Mecca is without weapons. That's why later we will see what the Prophet ﷺ did was he put the weapons outside of Mecca, and then he put 200 Sahaba in charge of those weapons. If anything, it's like a contingency plan, backup. If anything goes wrong, they are prepared. So the Prophet ﷺ, he thought, way ahead. Yeah, of course. This is what a leader does. Not just, we can just go, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will keep us safe. Nothing. He bring all the weapons, and he made 200 in charge of those weapons to be prepared. Anything goes wrong, and then the rest go perform tawaf, and they switched place. And then after those 800, how many? 2,000, 1,800 performed their tawaf, everything, the umrah, and then the 200, did their, rituals of umrah. So this what the Prophet ﷺ did. So he was even, smarter than them. So he said, we do not know you to be a treacherous person. So the Prophet ﷺ said, so he said that, he said, we shall not enter Makkah except as we agreed. So entering Makkah only with swords in scabbards, in the thing, only sword, no other. That was the agreement. So when we enter Makkah, only sword we will bring, sword inside the scabbard, not out, and the rest, the arrow, we will not. So the Prophet ﷺ told him that we will enter Makkah as we agreed, and the Prophet ﷺ, he intended to fulfill his pledge, as always, the Prophet ﷺ. But one thing here, the Prophet did not trust the Quraysh. That's why he came with a plan. So in case anything goes wrong, he put 200 Muslims guarding those weapons outside of the haram, and then while others, the rest of the Sahaba and the Prophet, they perform their umrah, and then they take turns. So so what did the Quraysh do during this time? So some of them, they remain in Mecca, or some of them left Mecca for 3 days. Some just, gathered in the house of Darun Nadwa. This is the house, you can say, the parliament house of the Quraysh. They meet here, Darun Nadwa. They meet to, have a meeting, discuss affairs and things like that. So, and some just remain in their houses. But this was a very difficult time for the Quraysh. Very difficult. It's like they're swallowing a very bitter tablet. It's medicine. It's so, they couldn't take it, but alhamdulillah, and even during, we know in fiqh, during, when the Sahaba, they made the tawaf, if anyone know, there's a sunnah of tawaf. The first 3 rounds, we should do something. Anyone know the sunnah in tawaf? No, not that one. It's called ramal in Arabic. Ramal. Ramal is walking, but briskly walking, like a bit fast, briskly walking. Yes. So the first 3 circumambulation, you do that, you brisk walk, not walk normally, but a bit fast. And the reason for it is a sunnah, as scholars mentioned, because when these Sahaba, they were performing their tawaf, rumor spread amongst the Quraysh, amongst the women and the Quraysh. They said, these people have become weak because of the weather of Medina. They have become weak. They have no energy anymore, because Medina was known to have a bad like sickness and thing. Bad, even fever, very bad, Medina, So these Quraysh, they said, these companions have become unwell, they're weak. Look at them, they're walking like weak, slow. But then the Prophet said, look, do ramal. And then when they saw, they're not weak, they're still strong, spiritually and also physically strong. So this is what they did. And then, of course, their voice, raising their voices with talbiyah. What is talbiyah? Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. It's called talbiyah. And also, like we know, uncover the shoulder, uncover the right shoulder, you uncover, and you wear ihram. Yes. So this is Umrah al-Qada, the Prophet ﷺ performed. And then during that time also, the Prophet ﷺ married Maymunah radiallahu anha. Maymunah. So the story of his marriage to Maymunah, when the Muslims, mashallah, they came together again with the Quraysh, of course, reunited. The Muslims with maybe their remaining families in Mecca. They were, and look, we can learn from this. The Prophet married her, despite she being a widow. The Prophet married her. This shows that how some people say, "Oh, widow, you don't want to marry." Yeah, widow. This is not good. The Prophet.
People always finger on the number.
Yes.
They don't discuss whom they marry.
Yes. Yes.
Only one Aisha themselves was virgin.
Yes.
Rest of them are either widow.
Widow.
or
Yeah.
virgin.
Yes.
None of them are virgin. But people always think, oh, she had three, we are allowed to three. But it's not the sunnah to marry always the virgin. It's sunnah to marry the widow or something.
Yeah. It is because yes.
Yeah, people never want this.
Yeah.
This point.
Yes. Yes. So here, the Prophet ﷺ did not look into her previous marital status or anything like that, and he married her. Now there is a question: did the Prophet ﷺ marry Maymuna in the state of ihram? Because we know it's a fiqhi issue that a muhrim cannot get married or have intimacy with wife. When you are in the state of ihram, you can't have intimacy, and also you can't get married. You can get married, but the intimacy is not allowed. So over here we have so there is conflicting reports, but what we say here, the scholars say is, the scholars, they agree that the marriage was consummated after Umrah. So consummation of the marriage is after Umrah. That's, of course, you can't do it in ihram. But the marriage, occurred during ihram. So that's fine. Or after ihram, regardless. But the main thing is the consummation of the marriage. Yes, the best part of the marriage is after Umrah. Okay. So here, the Prophet ﷺ also, the Prophet ﷺ requested, from the Quraysh so he can extend his stay in Mecca. How you apply for extension for your visa, for example. So the Prophet requested the Quraysh to allow him to remain longer in Mecca, and then he mentioned that I married Maymuna, so I need to, can you allow me and my companions to remain here a bit longer? And also the Prophet ﷺ, he invited them to a feast, invited the Quraysh, the leaders, of course, to a feast, but they replied aggressively. They're saying that we have no need for your food. We don't need your food. You can have your food. We're not hungry. But then the Prophet ﷺ left. He honored the treaty, of course. And then he left, and then he camped outside, Mecca. He didn't leave immediately. He camped outside Mecca, and then he did maybe walima as well, because he is mashallah, a newly married, the Prophet ﷺ. Yes. And after that, other incidents happen. One of the incidents is, you see the Arabs, the Quraysh, even the Sahaba themselves, the Quraysh, they did not like having daughters. It's mentioned in the Quran when they given the news that a daughter is born, then they become so sad, so ashamed, and their face turned black. وَجُهُهُ مُسْوَدًّا, like they are like in deep, what is it called, sorrow, when they hear, oh, a girl is born, and they kill the girl alive, isn't it? They bury them alive. But in this incident here, during this time, there was one young girl. She She ran towards the Muslims and then she shouted, "Oh uncle, oh uncle, take me, don't leave me in Mecca." She wanted to, join with the Muslims. And she was a young girl. A young girl, maybe, below 18 years old, very young. So and her name was Umara. And she was the daughter of Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib. Hamza. Who's Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib? Who was martyred in? Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib martyred during the battle of Uhud. Yeah. So Umara was the daughter of Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib, and she was still young. She had no father. Yeah. So she said to the Muslim, "Take me to Medina. Don't leave me in Mecca." So Ali ibn Abi Talib is her cousin, of course. Yes. So he immediately took her hand, and then also Zayd ibn Haritha. So there were few companions of the Prophet ﷺ. They want to take care of her. So including Ali ibn Abi Talib. He came first and said, "I will take care of you." And then after that, Zayd bin Haritha also came and said, "Look, he said that the Prophet ﷺ made me brothers with Hamza. So the Prophet, made me a brother with Hamza. I'm the brother of Hamza. This is Zayd bin Haritha." And then, which means that I'm her, that she's my niece, of course, brother. This is brother not in blood, but brother in faith, in Islam. So Zayd ibn Haritha, who was Zayd ibn Haritha? Anyone remember? Zayd ibn Haritha. His name is mentioned in Quran. فَلَمَّا قَضَى زَيْدٌ, the adopted son of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And the Prophet made him a brother with Hamza, who is the father of this girl. So he said, "Let me have her, let me take care of her, she's my niece." And then another companion, Ja'far. Who's Ja'far? Ja'far ibn Abi Talib, Ali ibn Abi Talib. So he's the brother of Ali. Again, of course, cousins then. They are cousins, just like Ali cousin. So he said, Ja'far said, "Look, I will take care of her, and also my wife is her maternal aunt." So my wife, Ja'far is saying, my wife is her auntie, maternal auntie, from the mother's side. So I have more rights to care for her. So then after that, the Prophet ﷺ, see now the companions, the Arabs, the Quraysh, they're fighting to take care of a girl. Before that, they were distancing. They don't want to do anything with a girl. They bury them alive. They treat them badly. But now they are fighting for some care. Yeah, they treat women, in a better way now. Good. After Islam came, see, so Islam came not to take, or to degrade women or treat them unfairly. No. So here, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, he praised all the three men. He praised them first, of course. He praised Ali. He said, "You are from me and I'm from you." He said to Ali radiallahu anhu, "Ana anta minni wa ana mink." You are from me and I'm from you. And then he said to Zayd, "You are my brother and protector." And then he said to Ja'far, "You resemble me most in both, in looks and manners." So he praised them first. This is how you soften the heart. When you negotiate something, you have to soften the heart first. You praise. So he praised all the three men and said to them nice words. And after that, he said, "My decision is Ja'far should care for her, Ja'far, because the maternal aunt is like a mother." So the Prophet ﷺ gave her Umara to Ja'far ibn Abi Talib. Good decision, yes, it is. It makes sense, because the maternal auntie is like a mother. طيب. So we have many great men of Quraysh. They accept Islam during this time as well. Great men of Quraysh, the leaders of Quraysh, they accepted Islam. And also, as we know, for the first time, 2,000 Sahaba, 2,000 companions of the Prophet. That's big number, very big. They marched towards Mecca to perform Umrah. Yeah. So this is very daunting to the Quraysh. They could not, this moment defines that the tide has changed. Now the Muslim is gaining victory, big number. So that's why, even in the battle of Khandaq, the battle of Khandaq, the battle of the trench, Amr, one of the Quraysh, one of the polytheists, he professed, he said, by Allah, Muhammad will certainly prevail over the Quraysh. He said these are his words. He said that, by Allah, that Muhammad will certainly prevail over the Quraysh. And then he also, approached a group of his friends and then he said to them, the affairs of this man, you mean the Prophet Muhammad, shall reign supreme very quickly. Ajib. Some people they can tell, they have very, strong insight on, So he said, shall reign supreme very quickly. So he invited his friend to migrate to Abyssinia. Remember the King Negus? Yes, Christian, but he accepted Islam. So this Amr, this man, he said, let's go to Abyssinia and live there. And then we will see from overseas, we will see from... yes, different. So he said, we will see if the Prophet wins, if this man wins, Muhammad, then we will live here for the rest of our life. We live in Abyssinia, But if the Quraysh win, we can go back home. So he said this. He said, and then so he prevailed. They actually went to Abyssinia. He purchased many gifts for the king to give to the king, of course. But then he noticed that also Muslim went there too. Some of the companions of the Prophet, they went to Abyssinia to migrate. Remember during the first time, the beginning of Islam. So what this Amr, this person, this polytheist, he tried to ask the king to kill the Muslims, but of course he didn't know that the king has accepted Islam. Yes, so he, even the king, when Amr requested, the king, was very angry. He was disgusted by his, request. Then Amr, he narrated, he said that I felt terrified, at his anger. I felt terrified that I wished that the earth would swallow me. So, but even, he was the king, of course. Amr was afraid of the king. And even before, the king spoke, before he spoke, Amr, he fell down and he apologized. He fell down and then on his knees and apologized profusely. And then the king Negus, he replied, do you ask me to hand over the envoy of the one upon whom the Great Spirit descends? Who's the Great Spirit? Jibreel, yes, Jibreel alayhi salam. Yes. Do you ask me to hand over the envoy, these people, to hand over to you and not protect them? To the one who the Great Spirit descends. And then he continued saying, woe to you, O Amr, obey me in this regard and follow this man. So he said to Amr, and they both knew each other from before. Amr and this king, they knew each other. That's why he's speaking like to someone, to someone that he already knew before. So he said, "Oh Amr, obey me in this matter and follow this man, Muhammad. By Allah, he is upon the truth and he will be victorious over his enemies, just as Musa alayhi salatu wasalam was victorious over Fir'aun." Amr, yes. I think so. Yeah, he accepted Islam. I don't know that one. Amr ibn al-As. Is this Amr ibn al-As? Anyone know? I don't know, I'm not sure. Amr bin As. There's a Sahabi, Amr bin As. So this one, this Amr, he accepted Islam. He accepted Islam at the hand of the King Negus. But he did not, inform his colleagues. He did not inform his friends that he accepted Islam. So instead, he returned to Mecca. As he arrived at Mecca, he came across Khalid ibn al-Walid. He came across who? Khalid ibn Walid and Uthman ibn Talha. These two leaders of Quraysh. They were great, people of Quraysh who were leaving. He asked them where they were going, and they both disclosed that they were heading to the Prophet ﷺ to convert. So he also, asked them, where are you going? And they said that we're going to the Prophet to convert to Islam. For how long we will deny it? They say, for how long we will deny it? Amr replied, but Allah, that is the exact reason why I have returned. So I have returned, the same reason. So I also want to, express my conversion to Islam. So now the story how Khalid ibn Walid, he accepted Islam. So there are more details about this. So he said, when Allah wanted good for me, he thrust Islam into my heart. This is Khalid ibn Walid narrating. I participated in battles against the Prophet, and every time I engaged, I sensed that I was being turned away and that the Prophet ﷺ would be victorious. So he sensed this. There's some, power. I'm being turned away, and then, somehow the Prophet would be victorious. The final straw was at Hudaybiyah when I was prepared to charge, but even when he was praying, he was protected. So he saw something, he felt something, Khalid ibn Walid. And I then thought to myself, where should I go? My first thought was to go to Abyssinia, but his followers are also there. The Sahaba were also in Abyssinia. Just like Amr, he thought, where should I go? People, they go, they say now the Muslims will take over Mecca, so we will have to leave this Mecca and go somewhere. So he also thought about going somewhere else. And then he thought about Abyssinia, but then, the companions of the Prophet are also there. So then I thought about Rome, but I would have to become a Christian and live as a stranger in a new land and culture. I continued to remain in a state of confusion until Umrah al-Qada, until this Umrah, the Prophet came with 2,000 companions. Until this Umrah took place, he said he was in the state of confusion. I did not know what to do. So the Prophet ﷺ entered Mecca and asked about me through my brother. So when the Prophet ﷺ entered Mecca, he asked about me. Khalid ibn Walid is saying, he asked my brother about me, Al-Walid bin Al-Walid. Al-Walid bin Al-Walid, his brother. And his brother accepted Islam in the Battle of Badr. This Al-Walid bin Al-Walid. So Al-Walid and Khalid, they were brothers. So my brother wrote to me, Al-Walid bin Walid, he wrote to me, in the name of Allah, the most compassionate, most merciful, I have not seen anything stranger than you running away from Islam, while you are as smart as you are. For how long will you oppose Islam? The Prophet ﷺ asked about you when he entered Mecca. He ﷺ asked, where is Khalid? And I responded, Allah will bring him. The Prophet ﷺ said, it is not befitting for someone like him to neglect Islam. If he were to use his talents with us against the polytheists, it would be better for him, and he would be honored over others. So my dear brother, make up what you have already lost, because many opportunities have already passed you by peace. So this is what Al-Walid ibn Al-Walid wrote to his brother, to Khalid ibn Walid. So he said, Khalid ibn Walid, he said, after reading this letter, Islam entered my heart. So it entered my heart, and I was pleased that the Prophet ﷺ asked about me. See, the Prophet asked. So it's, I think, ask the leaders to, yeah, oh, he asked about me, he remembered me, something like this, you know, make him happy, yes. But he was the person in front of the, you know, line to fight the Muslims. See, because of Khalid ibn Walid, the Muslim, they were not defeated, like he actually caused a lot of harm to the Muslim in the battle of Uhud, Khalid ibn Walid. But this one, yeah, even the Prophet asked his name, where is he, Khalid? I think the brother is there. So he, see, the main aim we see the Prophet ﷺ is to, you know, for people to be guided. That's the aim, not to have, like, you know, what is it, hatred in the heart.
How long before was
Hmm?
How long before this was
Uhud is, I think, Badr is in the 2nd year of Hijrah. Yeah? Uhud should be in the 3rd or 4th.
And
This is 7th. 7th after Hijrah. This. So after that he said, I then thought about who I should take with me. I approached Safwan ibn Umayyah and said, can't you see our state? It has become clear that Muhammad has prevailed. If we follow him, his honor will also be ours. But he rejected, you know, he approached Safwan bin Umayyah. This is a politics. So Khalid ibn Walid, he was thinking, who should I bring? I want to meet the Prophet, but who should I bring with me? So he asked Safwan ibn Umayyah, but he refused. Safwan refused. He said that if I were the last person on earth, I would still not follow him. So Safwan bin Umayyah. I thought to myself, this is a person whose brother and father were killed at Badr. Whose brother and father, Safwan ibn Umayyah, was killed at Badr. I then went to Ikramah bin Abi Jahl. So this is another policy, and I told him that the same thing. I told Safwan, Khalid is saying, I invited him to come with me to meet the Prophet ﷺ, but he responded just like Safwan responded, the same. I then saw Uthman ibn Talha. Then I saw Uthman ibn Talha, and he walked out until we saw Amr bin As. So that's how it started. So Amr bin As, when he returned from Abyssinia, he met with these two, Khalid ibn Walid and Uthman ibn Talha. And they were, so Amr, Khalid and Talha, Amr, Khalid ibn Walid and Talha traveled to the Prophet ﷺ and declared their Islam. When the Prophet ﷺ stretched his hand out to Amr to accept his conversion, Amr pulled his hand back. The Prophet ﷺ asked, what's wrong, oh Amr? Amr replied, before I embrace Islam, I have one condition, that all my past sins be forgiven. The Prophet ﷺ responded with glad tidings, oh Amr, don't you know that Islam erases everything before it? Yeah? And that the emigration erases everything before it, and that Hajj erases everything before it. Yes, Hajj, immigration, Hijrah, and also entering Islam. Entering the fold of Islam will erase everything, all the sins before. So Uthman ibn Talha held the keys to the Kaaba, representing the religiosity of the Quraysh. As a senior statesman and shrewd politician, Amr ibn As, it's Amr ibn al-As. It is then. It's, there you go, Amr ibn As, yes. Represented the political elite of the Quraysh. So these are great people of the Quraysh. Khalid ibn Walid, Amr ibn al-As, and also Uthman ibn Talha is the one who holds the key to the Kaaba. So, and Khalid ibn Walid, the master tactician, represented the military prowess of the Quraysh. So he's a general. The three of them emigrated together, becoming the last converts to Islam before the conquest of Mecca. So that's it. That's done already. Three great Quraysh accepted Islam. That's it. as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, those of you who donated and fought before the conquest, this is in Quran, before the conquest of Mecca are unparalleled. It's not the same. Those who fought before the conquest of Mecca, they're not the same with those who fought after. Yes, they are far greater in rank than those who donated and fought afterwards. Of course, this is because the difficult times was before the conquest of Mecca. That was very, very hard. Yes, but after that, yes. So nice Seerah. And there is another one, inshallah. What's the time now? We have enough? Inshallah. Any discussion? Amr ibn al-As.
Yes, I can add one more thing.
Yes.
I remember
Yes.
Amr ibn As was one of the most important leaders, that means, of the continent, leading the battle between the Muslim and the Roman later.
Yes. Yes.
Because Khalid bin Walid, he was the great warrior.
Yeah.
What's the name? Abu Sufyan.
Abu Sufyan.
He was the political leader of the Quraysh.
Yes.
But the key person who used to lead in the battle, that was
Khalid.
Khalid bin Walid.
Yes.
And usually Khalid bin Walid was supported by Safwan and that Amr ibn As. Later they all fought against the
Romans, yes.
and finally conquered the Roman Empire.
Yes. Yes. Roman. Who was the king? Kisra or Qaisar? Kisra. Yeah. Qaisar.
The king of
Persia. Parsi. Qaisar. Qaisar. Oh, Herakl. Qaisar is the king of
Qaisar is same person of the Persia
Persia. Yes.
designation.
When we have great people, great Sahabi, brave Khalid ibn Walid, he didn't die as a martyr. Yeah. Even he wanted to, but
He
yeah.
tried it, but he didn't save it.
Yeah. So again, see. So next, inshallah, the battle of Mu'tah. The battle of Mu'tah. Inshallah, next one, inshallah, next week, the battle of Mu'tah.
This was the first battle between the Muslim and the Roman.
First one, yes. MashaAllah. All right. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika nas'alukum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Huh? Yes, I didn't read it, but Battle of Mu'tah is the province of Syria. Is Jordan, in Jordan, small village in modern day Jordan, which was part of the Roman province of Syria. So this is Syria.